This is the Toyota Tundra. It's the latest in a long line of full-size US utes to go on sale in Australia, and there's a lot to be excited about. It has a 3.5 litre twin-turbo petrol engine alongside a hybrid system that includes an electric motor and a battery. It also has a massive cabin, and on paper at least, it seems like a well-engineered, well-built towing and touring machine. But with a price tag that heads north of $155,000, is it worth your consideration? And is it any good off-road? Well, that's what we're here to find out, so stick around. The Toyota Tundra is only available in one spec level in Australia at the moment, and that's the Limited, our test vehicle, but more variants are expected to arrive in Australia in the not too distant future. The Limited has a price tag of just under $156,000, but that's excluding on-road costs. Standard features include this 14-inch multimedia touchscreen system, and that has wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. There's also a 12.3-inch driver display, and that has all the information on the Tundra you'll ever need while driving it. All seats are leather accented, and the ones up the front are heated and ventilated and also power adjustable. On board the Tundra, you also get a 360-degree camera system. There are 20-inch alloy wheels, obviously on the outside, and a whole lot more. Exterior paint choices include white, which comes at no extra cost, or you may choose from a range of other colours, including red, which is on our test vehicle, but each of those costs $675. But remember, for even more details, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. The Tundra is built on the same chassis platform as the Land Cruiser 300 series, but the Tundra has a bigger wheelbase and a bigger wheel track. This is a massive ute, and it has plenty of presence on road, and you're going to get plenty of looks as you drive, so get used to that. The Tundra interior is a massive space, and it's very familiar because it is a Toyota after all. It's very functional. There's plenty of room up front for driver and front passenger. Second row is very impressive, especially for a dual cab. However, the interior does lack a distinctive prestige look and feel about it. There's plenty of plastic everywhere, and for a vehicle that costs upwards of $150,000, I'd expect that there'd be a bit more gloss to the fit and finish. Build quality is fine, and again, this is a really comfortable and functional space, but it just lacks that little bit of polish to it. Part of the obvious appeal of a full-size US ute is the fact that its tub is bigger than those we're used to seeing in use that are currently available in Australia. The Tundra has a drop-in tub liner in here. It has 4 fixed-in-place tie-down points, as well as 4 movable tie-down points in these 2 rail systems at the side of the tray. It's also got a camera, it's got a lighting system. That's all well and good. It's a very usable, practical space, but one of the things I do have a problem with is the tailgate. While it is damped and it does come to a slow fall when you open it, there's just a bit too much fast movement in the top range of the opening. I think some kids are going to run across the back there and inadvertently get their heads clopped by the side of the tailgate. I'd like to see a lot more damping in that at the top range. Other than that, there are no power points built into the tub, and there are also no side steps, so gaining access into the tub requires a little bit more gymnastics than it might otherwise require. The Tundra has a 3.5 litre twin-turbo petrol engine, and that forms part of what Toyota calls the iForce Max system. Bit of a superhero name, but what that amounts to is the engine itself, an electric motor and a battery. That system has a combined peak output of 326 kilowatts and 790 newton meters. The Tundra has a 10-speed automatic transmission and a part-time four-wheel drive system. It does have drive modes, including Eco, Normal and Sport, and it does have a tow haul mode, but it does not have any off-road driving modes, and it doesn't have any diff locks. The Tundra is imported to Australia as a left-hand drive vehicle and converted on our shores by a company called Walkinshaw Automotive Group. Now, they're pretty well known, of course, in car circles because, well, they're just well known for doing a hell of a job on whatever they work on. And the same thing applies here. They've done a hell of a job on the Tundra. It really is quite impressive. Steering is light and precise for such a big vehicle. That automatic transmission is very cluey, and the iForce Max system, the 3.5 litre twin turbo V6 and the electric motor and the battery all work seamlessly well. Well, mostly. Every now and again there's a bit of a clunky downshift or a switch from the engine to the motor and battery, but that's hardly a deal breaker when in general it works pretty well otherwise. There's plenty of acceleration. The Tundra sits really well on the road or on the track that I'm on now because it is so big and it's got such a big wheelbase. It's really composed and really confident, and that makes driving this thing at speed on bitumen or on dirt or gravel in the bush an easy and safe and comfortable experience. It's not all lollipops and rainbows though, because this is a big vehicle and it's got a massive turning circle, 15 metres or so, and you really feel that in the bush when you get to tighter, more treed-in tracks and you've got to do more technical four-wheel driving. But that's not what this beast is built for. It's built for towing and touring. It's not built for low-speed, low-range four-wheel driving. It doesn't really excel at those things because it is limited quite substantially by its size. That's not to say it's terrible though. It's just not as comfortably capable in technical low-range, low-speed four-wheel driving as mid-size dual cab utes that we're used to being available in Australia are, because those kinds of utes are simply more nimble, more manoeuvrable, and they're more comfortable at home in those low speed, low range scenarios. And as well as being hampered by its sheer physical size, the amount of real estate it takes up on every track that it's on, the Tundra also doesn't have the best wheels if you're looking at tackling four-wheel driving. Bridgestone Jewelers, perfectly okay for light duty four-wheel driving, but fall well short when it comes to anything more difficult. And because the Tundra has such a stretched wheelbase, it doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, about 216 mil, which is pretty standard for a full-size US ute, but that makes that undercarriage vulnerable to knocks and scrapes, no matter how innocuous the ruts or the moguls you're going through seem to be. It also has pretty standard approach and departure angles, again for a ute this size, but those measurements and those angles fall well short of making the Tundra any kind of off-roading monster machine. It's actually a whole lot more comfortable on the open road or on the open track. At speed, it'll carry a load, it'll tow a load without any problems, but it's just not built for technical, difficult, challenging, low-range four-wheel drive terrain. And if you do find yourself in some tricky four-wheel driving terrain and you need a diff lock or you need off-road driving modes or you even need off-road traction control, then bad luck, because none of those things are in the Limited, and the fact that they are missing is something else that counts against the Tundra when it comes to challenging four-wheel driving. And the Tundra is a lot of rolling real estate, so when it's low range four-wheel driving you really tend to feel every bump and every pothole or rut, whereas at speed on a formed track it's nice and settled. It's completely the opposite when you take on low speed obstacles in the Tundra. It tends to get pretty bouncy and pretty wild, and that's purely because it's a bigger vehicle with a bigger wheelbase, so there's a lot more moving around and through the terrain that you're trying to traverse. I don't mind it, it's a bit of fun, but some people might become a bit sick of the wild ride. So if you are considering the Tundra as your towing and touring vehicle of choice, it's handy to know that its unbrake towing capacity is 750 kilograms and its brake towing capacity is 4,500 kilograms, but that's with the 70mm tow ball. Its payload is pretty underwhelming but pretty standard for a full-size US ute, and that's 758 kilograms. So once you load in people, pets, camping gear and all of that sort of good stuff, then you've pretty much used up a whole stack of your payload capacity. And that's not to mention the fact that you may put aftermarket accessories on your Tundra, a bull bar, a roof rack, any of those sorts of things, and they also eat into the amount of weight that you can throw in the Tundra. No official fuel consumption figure is listed for the Tundra in Australia, but the Tundra in the US uses about 20 miles per gallon, and that works out to be about 11.8 litres per 100 kilometres, so that's a pretty good guide to go by. On this test I have recorded 14 litres per 100 kilometres, but I have done a lot of high and low range four-wheel driving. The Tundra has 122 litres of fuel capacity, so going by my on-test figure and assuming that I have a full tank at the start of my trip, I could reasonably expect to get about 870 kilometres on that full tank. And while that may seem a little high, that's pretty standard fuel consumption for a ute this size, and that's borne out by fuel consumption figures that we've recorded in recent tests in these kind of full-size US utes. The Tundra does not have an ANCAP safety rating, but it does have 8 airbags and a stack of driver assist tech, including AEB tyre pressure monitoring, a 360-degree camera, and more. For even more details on this vehicle, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. The Tundra is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and roadside assistance is available. The servicing schedule is set at 6 months or 10,000 kilometres, whichever occurs soonest. Cap price servicing does apply for the first 5 years of ownership, and those servicing costs work out to be about $450 a pop. The Toyota Tundra is a big, comfortable, full-size ute, but it's much better suited to towing and touring than it is to four-wheel driving. There are also a few things working against it. It has a less than ideal payload, it's got a hefty price tag, and the cabin interior just looks and feels a lot cheaper than you think it should, especially when you're paying upwards of $150,000. But there are still a lot of things to like about it, and that includes its on-road performance, its 4.5-tonne towing capacity, and its full factory-backed warranty. If you are looking at buying a full-size US ute, then the Tundra is no doubt in among the contenders on your list. But what do you reckon? Have your say in the comments section below. And as always, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au.